Have you ever thought you were being watched, feeling paranoid, maybe like you've lost your marbles, or even feel a little bonkers? Then you will love this movie because you will feel this way the entire time. The movie description states that a young American woman moves with her husband to Bucharest and begins to suspect that a stranger who watches her from an apartment window may be a serial killer. I'll be straight with you. I'm a paranoid person. I can't use a urinal because I feel like someone is gonna attack me. It's weird. I know that, but that's not gonna change 100%. Anyway, this movie is creepy right off the bat. Julia is with her partner, Francis, staying at a new place in Romania. The guy does that for like another 20 seconds. Damn, this apartment is nice. It looks like a K-drama up here. She walks around the town. She goes to different places for a little bit, which you're not supposed to do in other countries. That's a big recipe for kidnapping, especially if you don't know the language like Julia here. Don't do this at all. Bad idea. That got me, I'll admit. The guy fixed the light apparently. She drinks some wine by herself with no curtains on her window. How did this girl not die already? Frances comes back from work. She doesn't tell her boyfriend about the guy that stares at her 24/7 for some reason. As they stroll through the neighborhood, they see police sirens and don't know what's going on. They both see it on the news the next day. A girl was supposedly murdered. Not a great thing to hear when it happened right next to you and you're being stared at through a window.
There's this guy that lives across the street, and he's always looking over here.
Finally, she tells Frances about the creep watching her. They peek through his window, but can't see him. Then they kind of ignore it and go to dinner with Frances' work friends. I don't know why they did that. Alright. The movie does a great job of pulling you into the place of Julia, not knowing what's happening because they aren't speaking English or don't know certain details about the characters. It throws you into an unknown world similar to Julia. I love that aspect of this movie because I just feel really confused when people aren't speaking English or there's no subtitles, so I feel like I'm her, They talk about normal dinner stuff.
He cut so deep, it was essentially a decapitation. They're calling him the Spider.
It's about the killings going on, women being killed in very violent ways. The girl on the news earlier was decapitated, so, not cool. Julia doesn't like these talks and decides to walk out. As she roams down the stairs, she talks with Irina, her neighbor. The next day, Julia does her research on the killings and starts getting really paranoid, which I would be if I were a 5'6" woman in a foreign country. She goes to a movie theater. Yikes. She's watching a movie about a woman being killed, and a man sits behind her.
Lock the door. Don't let anyone in except me. And close these windows after me.
Be careful.
You just took the words right out of my mouth.
That's a fair reaction. She's now at the grocery store. She hides from the man who was at the movie theater. Why aren't you calling your boyfriend or the police? She tells Francis about what happened at dinner. He asks her if she's okay. Why would she be okay? They go back to the market and look at the tapes. They find the man she was looking for. They hit us with the "woman, you're crazy," stating that she's just being paranoid. The next morning, Francis tells Julia he's coming home late tonight. Yes, that's very comforting for the paranoid girlfriend. That is terrifying. Hey, you want to play Jerkmate ranked? She opens the door to find an old lady. She's looking for her cat. I only know that because Irina helps me and Julia out in understanding the lady. She invites Julia in for a drink at her place. I'm praying she's not helping the stalker. They both bond over not knowing a language since Irina used to be horrible with English. It's one of the few wholesome scenes so far. Anyway, she goes back home to find the watcher again. That's not scary. Francis comes home to find Julia smoking a cigarette on her bed, not looking the happiest. She tells him about it again. He can't see anything, but he flips the guy off. They call the police, but the cop doesn't think it's much. The boyfriend goes with the cop to check the watcher's room. When Francis comes home, he tells her that she's not being rational. She screams that she wants to return to New York and tells him he can't do anything. The next day, Julia follows the man she suspects to be the watcher. The only thing really weird is his walk. He just walks like a robot. She follows him into his building. It's so disgusting with mold and water leaking. It's basically XQC's house.
30 months, much love XQC.
And it's actually a club. Hear me out. She finds the man she was following. He's the janitor for the place. Irina is also a worker there, and Julia talks with her about the man she's looking for. Irina can't remember the man's face, so there's no helping her there. She returns home. Oh shit. She fights back, and of course, it was a dream. She hears screaming from Irina's room. She screams at the landlord to open the door, only to find a cat that knocked over a lamp. The landlord yells at Francis about what Julia did in the middle of the night. Irina didn't come home last night. A man knocks on Irina's door, Christian, and Julia asks him to give her Irina's phone number, and she calls it to only hear Irina's phone in her apartment. They go to the stalker guy's apartment building. Christian knocks on the door.
Alo, răspunde! Știu că ești acasă! Bă, perversul dracu, dacă te mai uiți în casele oamenilor, vin în sparg ușa și...
But he gets a phone call and has to leave. Julie decides to knock on the door as well, but it's only an old man who answers. Please don't get in the elevator. Please don't get in the elevator. Thank you. At that night, the police show up at the apartment. The watcher reported her to the police. And honestly, it makes Julia look pretty bad, like Joe Goldberg bad. The guy is a bit creepy, but the cop makes her shake his hand. Francis has a little talk with Julia. He shows her a news article about the killer from a few days ago. The suspect was caught. They both go to a cocktail party. The rich people talk about the serial killer. Francis makes a horrible joke. He says in Romanian that, "At least the killer was keeping her company, guys." Since Julia is being paranoid about this, she walks out of the party, sad and angry, which is expected. She's now alone at a dark and gritty subway. Ah, the perfect place for a pretty girl to be. The subway ride is unnerving, crazy homeless people, and guess who? The brown jacket stalker guy.
It's probably an animal.
What?
The cause of the delay. It could be signal problem or repairs, or sometimes it's because an animal is on the tracks.
That was helpful. Thanks. The train is stopped right now, so she questions the watcher. He tells her that he takes care of his sick father, and sometimes he looks out the window and watches people. He thought he was having an innocent fantasy watching a pretty girl, but then she waved at him. I knew that was a mistake. She then brought the angry man to his house, and the police got involved too. Now he wants an apology. She says she's sorry and quickly darts out of there. She goes home, sits alone in the dark. Freaking weirdo. She starts packing her stuff. Then she hears really loud music playing from Irina's room. Julia goes to investigate, and the door's unlocked. Oh shit. She wakes up. The killer killed Irina. He removes Julie's bag. Uh-oh. Yeah, she's bleeding pretty bad, and Francis is looking for her. She tries crawling away, but you know, blood loss. Wait, is she dead now? Well, that sucks. The creep lays down beside her, looking into her eyes until she stops blinking. Okay, now she's dead. Shout out to this actor. He plays a creep very well. No, please, no one else. Francis called Julia, only to hear it come from Irina's room.
Hey!
Oh shit. Julia was not dead and killed the guy. Wait, it's over? Just like that? That's crazy. Overall review. Wow. Just wow. I really enjoyed this movie. It's intense, and realistic. I like that it's not in America. I don't know what it's like in Romania, so I can't criticize the mannerisms with the buildings or the environment, but it felt very real. Julia was a very believable character. She did a few things that were stupid, like waving at the watcher. Why would you do that? She also didn't tell her boyfriend the first time it happened. Speaking of boyfriend, he was stupid for most of the movie. Maybe it's because it's a giant life change, moving to a new country. But why wouldn't you listen to your scared girlfriend? Those are really the only negatives I can think of. I believe this movie is a great watch. In the dark with some food and a drink would be really entertaining.